Right, okay, well, we're going to start our preview now with Arsenal hosting Chelsea. Two teams who have threatened to be involved in the title race, but it hasn't quite happened for either. Gunners boss Mikel Arteta has been discussing the Blues.
Well, let's see. I think two teams that want to be very dominant in the way of playing, very aggressive on the high press and the way we have to have the ball. A lot of individual quality on that pitch. So it's about imposing what you want and the direction that you want to take the game and keep them very far from their strengths. I think that's going to be a key thing as well.
The England squad's been announced, and some good news around these parts because MLS has got the nod. Your reaction to that?
Very proud of him. It's a huge moment for him and for the club as well. Again, one of our graduates getting the call for England. It's a massive thing, so very happy.
You're only 6 points behind Arsenal. Could be 3 on Sunday. Are they catchable in second place?
Yeah, and they can be 9. At the moment they are 6. We are not focused in if they can be 3 or 9 or 6. We are just focused how we can do our game, how we can try to beat them, and then hopefully we can do that and we can be more close.
But the run you're on, it could be a target. Second place could be a target for you now.
Yeah, it could be a target for sure. It's our duty to do our best, but in the same time, I think the target for us is Sunday game, and then game after game to see how we can go close.
I think we're going to start this one by talking about the managers, the men in charge of leading these two teams. And where are we at with Mikel Arteta, 5 years at Arsenal now, Enzo Maresca, his project only really just starting. What are your thoughts and your take on where they are now and kind of where we go from here?
Well, the fan base is split in two over Mikel Arteta. Half the fan base think he's doing a good job and that everybody should trust that process. The other half are unhappy that last season, for the last 2 transfer windows, he hasn't bought a striker when it's been staring him in the face and screamingly obvious. And I think they would have a point, but then the other side would have a point as well because there has been progress. There's no doubt about the fact that this season and the underperformance this season means there was a lot of pressure going on him into next season. I think they should keep him. He's done a fantastic job, changed the culture, brought in good players, and given Arsenal fans a reason to be proud of the club again.
Yeah, I agree that he should remain the Arsenal manager. I mean, I think there has been a little bit of a blind spot with the number 9. This has been a problem for 3 years. This is not something that's appeared overnight. It's not been a 6-month issue. I feel as though that should have been addressed in one of the last 4 or 5 transfer windows, to be honest. No doubt has he picked the club up and, like you say, installed a culture and an environment positive, and is taking it to a new level. I just wonder, when you've been waiting for City to fall off their standards for so long, and the moment they do, which is this season, I mean, I don't think anyone's seen their fall off coming. His team weren't capable to take advantage of that. So I can understand the frustration. I think there's 1 year left, but he's got to sign a number 9.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Listen, at the start of the season, I remember being on this show actually and asking or debating whether you'd rather have Arsenal's defence, which was one of the best in the Premier League last season, and they added as well, I think quite well, Calafiori came in, which gave them more depth. And it generally is defences that win titles. Because you can win games 1-0. You don't have to be that spectacular. But
which
if you've got a really, absolutely, which was the Arsenal way, and they've kind of stuck to that. But up front, they just haven't had that ability to be able to finish teams off, and that's what's put pressure on him. But I just hope that the fan base a little bit, as you've been saying, the bit less short-sighted, and they can see the bigger picture of what has changed.
So obviously they didn't go and get that number 9. Then they also had a spate of attacking injuries, which is why we're seeing things like Kieran Tierney, part of the front 3, in midweek against PSV. The experiment, shall we call it, with Kai Havertz, do you think there is like a stubbornness in Mikel Arteta that says, that works, I've used him, I'm going to prove it works? And that's why he hasn't gone out and bought a number 9?
See, for me, this isn't. It wasn't an experiment. This was all part of the plan. When I look back to the summer transfer window, when Raheem Sterling became available, they moved heaven and earth, and they got that done within 48 hours because he wanted that player. So everyone from the outside of Arsenal said they've needed a 9. Mikel Arteta obviously feels that they didn't. That's his choice as the manager. He could have brought a number 9 in, even if he wasn't at the level he would have liked him to be.
Yeah.
You could have still got someone to fill that void and kind of like, I don't feel that he has to be a world-class 9, because I feel as though with all the world-class players around him, you could still make a 9 look good in that team, in that philosophy.
Glenn, you've been a striker. Can I ask you, if you're in the box, do you feel Arsenal need a penalty box striker, or do you think they need an Isak type striker who can make his own luck?
I would refer to Isak as both. I think he can do both. So I think that's probably a bad example. Sorry, but I think they need a 9 that is going to occupy, that's going to be in and around there, that's going to score goals, that's going to be that kind of anticipation of where that ball's going to drop. And I think with all the quality around you, when you look at Odegaard and Trossard and Saka when he's fit, that also creates space for them. So just a number 9. I don't want a 9 that's, because obviously they've got Jesus at the club that's referred to as a number 9, but he drifts and he wants to get involved in play.
That's my question.
Stay there. You occupy your 2 centre backs. That'll create space for others. If they get attracted to the ball, that'll create space for you. So it's a knock-on effect, and it's beneficial for everyone around.
It's interesting. I think that's part of the frustration for Arsenal fans, because other clubs have managed to find, especially during the January transfer window, attacking players who've made a big difference. The biggest example is probably Asensio at Aston Villa. You know, they managed to bring in a Marcus Rashford who's got renewed energy, and they've seen a change. And so I think part of that frustration with Arteta and not signing the 9 is, well, does he need the perfect one? Does he need the world-class one? Or, as you said, he just needed somebody in there in that position who was capable, because he has world class all around him.
Yeah, I tend to feel as though if you bring an elite 9 in, not world class, not an Isak, but if you bring an elite striker in of a 9 that knows the position well enough, he will look even better with those surroundings, because your caliber's going to be better with the heightened quality around you, without any doubt, and just. But this has been a problem for 5 transfer windows. This is not something new. So this is Mikel Arteta, the sporting director. This is Arsenal's choice to be in this situation, as far as I'm concerned. So that leads me to think: has this process ended?
And has the cycle come to an end? I think there's at least one more season in it. I still do think that there is more to come, because, as you say, if the striker does come in that they need, and I do agree, I think it should be a penalty box striker rather than somebody who drifts outside, because you've got so much creativity around the box, then Arsenal could easily be up there and scoring goals and winning those games that they've drawn or lost this season. And I think certainly the perception of Arteta then starts to ease. I mean, they've got such a massive fan base at Arsenal, and they're going to, ironically, they're going into this weekend, I call it the Toothless Tiger Derby, because Chelsea have got no strikers either. You know, they've both spent so much money. I was going to call it the Underachievers Derby, but I'm going to stick with the Toothless Tiger Derby.
Both harsh.
Well, it is. What have they won? What have they done?
It's just a bit harsh. I mean, the Manchester United, Tottenham, that would be an underachieving derby.
Chelsea spent £1 billion, they've got no strikers, and they're struggling to get into the top 4.
They have got a striker who's very effective, actually, in Nicholas Jackson.
He's not there.
He's not fit, but when he plays, he's very effective. And him being out is real. I'm sure we'll get onto it, but he's really impacted Cole Palmer's form as well.
And that's a big part of why that they're both so toothless, because without him, and obviously Cole Palmer now 10 games, no goals. It's difficult for Chelsea, and plus the defence isn't exactly watertight either. So if you're not scoring goals and you're not keeping clean sheets, how do you think you're going to play Champions League football next season? I think of the 2 managers, Maresca's under most pressure, because if he doesn't finish in the Champions League places when there are 5 up for grabs potentially, then maybe you need to get a manager who can.
I think the worry for Maresca is that they started off so well, and I suppose he's changing their style slightly, and for me, he's becoming more of a possession-based. And when I get a look and I zoom out at that Chelsea squad, they're a very youthful team. So why not lean into that youthful exuberance and play with energy and play fast, which is effectively what those bodies are capable of. Yet he's trying to go the other way and trying to control games, very much Pep Guardiola style of the past, I suppose.
You know, there was a moment in December when they were within a few points of Liverpool at the top, and I think that was a turning point of their season because.
But my worry was, right, but was that Pochettino's good work, or was that all Maresca?
Yeah, agree. I mean, listen, I think Pochettino left the club in fantastic shape in terms of their home record, their away record, the confidence in the team, the respectability he gave them, again, not just from the inside, but from the outside as well. Suddenly opposition teams and players were looking at Chelsea saying, that's a difficult place to go. And Maresca's kind of weakened that a lot with some of the decisions which looked good in the first half of the season, but by midway through, and this is why I'm talking about the proximity to Liverpool, because at that moment, what he should have been saying was, yeah, I'm going to lean into the fact that we are in a title race. But he suddenly started doing that, no, we're not good enough, no, we're not ready. And I feel psychologically that transmitted itself to the players. I always say in football, not just in football, in sport, the attitude reflects the leadership. And if the leadership is bombastic and full of belief and exudes that confidence, then the players will believe. And they've got something to hold on to as well. And I just didn't see that at Chelsea this season.
Bombastic, what a great word. We've also learned that this is the
Here all
toothless,
It's the end of the week.
the toothless tiger derby. Unbelievable stuff. Well, that's Arsenal versus Chelsea.